Here now exclusively tonight on The Story, Rush Limbaugh, host, of course, of The Rush Limbaugh Show. Rush, thank you for being here tonight. Great to see you this evening.
Thank you for having me. This is the 1 hour on Fox I haven't done in a while, so it's great to be here.
It's great to have you back. I want to start with Joe Biden. You've seen him run for president twice before, in 1984 and 1988. What version of Joe Biden do you think we're going to get this time, and how do you think he'll do?
Well, Martha, let me tell you this. I sit here tonight in my palatial EIB Southern Command studio. I remain stunned and amazed that the Democrat Party and the media still do not understand who Donald Trump is. They don't understand how he won. They don't understand how he's going to win again in 2020. They don't understand the people who voted for him or why. They hold all of that in contempt. Here's the thing. Joe Biden is probably the best chance they've got, and he doesn't have a chance. They're probably, Joe Biden and Crazy Bernie and Mayor Pete. Get three white guys. Two of them are brontosauruses from Jurassic Park. And that isn't going to sit well with the rest of this party, which has gone so far left. I don't think, Biden's putting off this announcement. I don't know how badly he really wants this. And you have to really want this if you're going to have any chance of winning it.
All right, speaking of the other folks who are running, let's listen to Elizabeth Warren talking about relieving 95% of college debt. Watch this.
We are going to roll back student loan debt for about 95% of students who have debt. And part two is to make sure that we never get in this mess again on student loan debt, and that is to make college universally available with free tuition and fees.
So there's a lot of free stuff in a lot of these plans. Medicare for all, Rush, free college tuition, your debt goes away. The president in the latest approval numbers is down around 39%. So is he vulnerable to all of these promises from all of these Democrats?
No, the polls right now don't mean anything, Martha. Does anybody remember the poll 2 years before 2016? They all had Hillary winning in a landslide. There's way too much that's going to happen. Pocahontas is not going to be the nominee. But, these Democrats are all in the process of trying to out-leftist or out-liberal each other, and they're in a contest to who can give away the most. But with Elizabeth Warren forgiving college loans, forgiving that debt, and then promising free college and Medicare for all and a Green New Deal, why is anybody going to need to go to college? Because nobody's going to need a job, because the Democrats are going to be giving everybody a universal basic income. So why does any of this matter? None of this is real. None of this can happen. This is disinformation, and it's really, I think it's an indication of just how little they think of their own voters, that their own voters don't even want to work. They don't even want to achieve. They don't even want to pursue excellence. They just want to have their hands out and vote for whoever who's going to give them the most. What a way to ruin a life. Nobody would raise kids this way. Why in the world does the Democrat Party think? Well, I can answer that, too. Sometimes the best questions I get are those I ask myself. And why do they care? Because they can't win on policy. They can't win on anything of substance. So they have to demonize. They have to criticize. They have to impugn and destroy the credibility of all of their opponents and then promise to give everything away, promise to be Santa Claus. And it's not going to work against Trump. It might work against a Romney, or it might work against a traditional Republican. It won't work against Donald Trump.
Well, let me ask you this then, because it seems that when you go to high schools and college campuses and even in Hollywood and other places, that Democrats have won the argument to a certain extent. There's a feeling in this country among a lot of people that this is the way we should live. So, it really breaks down the country in terms of those who think that we should be given all of these things and the people who are Trump supporters.
Martha, if you would go to the places in this country that are not on the coasts, not in the elite big urban areas, if you would go to the areas that Donald Trump won the election, traditional Democrat, white, working class, and even blue-collar neighborhoods, you're not going to find that kind of attitude. These are the people that Democrats used to rely on. They are the people that Democrats have lost. These are the people that vote for Trump, and they love Trump even more than they did in 2016. the majority of this country is not yet at the place where it wants everything given to them. Of course, young people want things given to them. Kids always do. People that are not yet mature, haven't lived enough. But we're doing a great disservice to our kids by shortchanging their humanity, shortchanging their opportunities to excel, to become something, to become larger than themselves. They're nothing more than pawns that can be bought with votes. And I don't think that there is a majority of our population that up against Donald Trump is a key element here. I don't think there's a majority population that is serious about thinking this is the way the country ought to be run. You know, the student loan forgiveness. What about people who took loans and paid them back? What are we going to do? Give them reparations? Are they going to ask for refunds? I mean, where does all of this stop? It isn't going to happen in the first place. That's it. It's, all of this is disingenuous and dishonest, and it doesn't get anywhere near the heart of the problems that we are having in this country, which I happen to think revolve around the dissipation of our culture, the dissolution of our society, and so forth. And they are the culprits for this, and they need to be stopped. And this kind of stuff is not their route back. And the fact that they're talking about Joe Biden or Crazy Bernie, who is leading everybody at this stage, I think is a testament to how bankrupt they actually are.
All right. I want to play something for you from Hillary Clinton at the Time 100 conference that she was speaking at, where she says, because I know how much you love the Time 100 conference and how much you love Hillary Clinton. So here she is. Here she is talking about why she believes that President Trump should be indicted. Listen to this.
There's enough there that any other person who had engaged in those acts would certainly have been indicted. The whole matter of obstruction was very directly sent to the Congress. I mean, if you read that part of the report, it could not be clearer.
Well, what's going through your mind as you're listening to that, Rush?
I was trying not to listen to that. You know, this is the irony. Hillary Clinton is who tried to rig a presidential election, Martha. Hillary Clinton and her pals in the Obama Department of Justice and the FBI, they are the ones who colluded with the Russians. They are the ones that gave us this entirely, totally bogus Steele dossier. For Hillary Clinton, you know what irony? For Hillary Clinton to be talking about impeaching Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton needs to be investigated, she needs to be indicted, and she needs to be in jail. And many of her co-conspirators in this whole sordid affair, which amounted to nothing more than a silent coup to overturn the election results of 2016, Hillary Clinton demanding at Trump, you talk about sour grapes. This is a woman who's been rejected by the American people twice, rejected by her party in 2008. She had to rig the primaries against Crazy Bernie in 2016 to get the nomination. She is the last person who ought to be listened to about what ought to happen to Donald Trump. She hasn't accomplished anything anywhere near what Donald Trump has accomplished. She is in no position here to sit here and say what she saw in the Mueller. Well, she can say it. She's an American. But she doesn't have any credibility on any of this as far as I am concerned. Well, and I'm not alone there.
Jared Kushner also spoke at the conference today, and I know you talked about this today. Here he is talking about how much the Russians actually did on Facebook. Yeah, let's play that.
I think the investigations and all of the speculation that's happened for the last 2 years has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook ads. I mean, I spent about, I think they said they spent about $160,000. I spent $160,000 on Facebook every 3 hours during the campaign. So, you know, if you look at the magnitude of what they did and what they accomplished, I think the ensuing investigations have been way more harmful.
Very interesting to hear from him today on that and a lot of other things, Rush.
Well, here's the thing. He's right. Martha, everybody, America, please, there was never any evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. The collusion, as I said, was Hillary, the DNC, and the Russians via Steele. But the Russians, when Mueller announced the indictments of the Russian troll farm, it was Rosenstein who went out and announced them. And nobody paid any attention to this, but he said at the end of the announcement, nothing in these indictments suggests a single vote was changed. Nothing suggests the outcome of any election was changed. No American is named in the indictment having to do with it. Martha, there was never any evidence for this. There was never, Mueller never, when he got the file from Comey, it was empty. All they had was the dossier, and we all know that it was made up. It was opposition research. This was not even an investigation of Trump. What it was an attempt to overthrow the 2016 elections. And the Mueller investigation, I believe, was actually many things, including a cover-up and a distraction to keep people from understanding what really happened. Donald Trump accomplished one of the greatest achievements of his life against all odds with no assistance. His own party wasn't even that much behind him. He's done something that few Americans will ever do, and they're trying to take it away from him, and they're trying to sully his reputation simply because they don't like him. This is a sordid situation. I think our country was at great risk during this whole thing, and there needs to be an investigation. I hope the Attorney General's serious, because these people need to be investigated. We need to be told who they are, what they did, even though we already know, and they need to be indicted. The people that did this need to be held accountable, because they came close, Martha, to throwing away the United States Constitution. Unelected people came close to actually pulling off what is a coup. And it should never, ever happen again. The American people, some of them who watch CNN, don't know it. And the New York Times is even trying to back off the dossier. And I said, well, maybe it was Russian disinformation. No kidding, Russian disinformation. They've known that for a year and a half. Everybody in the media has known that they have been lying to the American people about this in an effort to get rid of Trump. And he survived it. And if they think they're going to take him out after all of this, they are delusional.
As you say, the New York Times is now looking into the dossier. They say that Mr. Steele's Russian informants could have been pressured to feed him disinformation, which is something that we reported some time ago. But they're just getting into
collusion.
That idea.
Steele,
well, hold on.
Russian who's working with Russians? Steele, Hillary's guy. They're working with the Russians.
Absolutely.
Now, the Russians may have just... Bob Woodward, I said the other day that we need to get to the bottom of it. He's trying to link the dossier to Putin, not Hillary. The dossier traces right back to Hillary and her campaign in the DNC.
Well, they paid for it, and that much we know. So I want to touch a little bit about Joe Lockhart wrote a piece today, the former press secretary for Bill Clinton. And he talked about don't go down the impeachment road. We don't need to go down the impeachment road. He said because it's going to be good enough fodder as we move forward that the president will be under continued constant investigation. You know, all these subpoenas that are out there. But here's what he said about you, Rush. He said Republicans today are the party of Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Tucker Carlson, a coalition that in the face of every demographic trend in America will mean the long-term realignment of the federal government behind the Democrats. What say you, sir?
I'm honored that they think this. It's not, you know, some days I'm just an entertainer. Some days I'm a has-been. Now I am the face of and the reason for the Republican Party. I think that all of this just adds up to the fact that they're frustrated. They haven't been able to, quote unquote, defeat me in 30 years. They can't defeat Trump. They haven't been able to stop him. And I think they're frustrated. They've thrown every weapon they have in their arsenal at Donald Trump, and nothing's worked. Things that they have used over the years that have been readily available to get rid of and take out any Republican they want, they have bounced off of Trump. And I think they're really frustrated. The Republican, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, we are not in politics. We are media titans, but we're not in politics. This is a party of Donald Trump right now, and the Republicans that don't realize that had better get on board.
Well, that's interesting, because I know that you said that you are frustrated by other Republicans in your party who you feel should be rejoicing right now. They should be fundraising off of this Mueller report finding, and you don't think they're doing that.
Well, I thought it was strange that, you know, after for 2 years, everybody's waiting with bated breath and biting their fingernails. What's Mueller going to do? Is Mueller going to... And then here comes the news, no collusion. No collusion, no obstruction. Where is the Republican Party with the celebratory emails to their voters? Even fundraising or just celebrating the victory. Where are they? You don't hear them. The reason is, Martha, that this is a battle not between the two parties. This is a battle between the Washington establishment, the deep state, I call it the administrative state, and outsiders and Americans who feel disenfranchised or unattached. And it's the fact that the Republican Party, there's still many people in there that, just like Mitt Romney, says he was sickened. He was sickened by what he read in the Mueller report. This is the same guy, Mitt Romney, who they said didn't care when an employee's wife died of cancer. Same guy that they said didn't pay his taxes for 10 years. The same guy who they said beat up somebody in prep school. The same guy who said he had a file of nothing but women. They destroyed Mitt Romney, and here he is on their side. What does that tell you? It's strange, and I think the Republican Party, I know the first 9 months of Trump's term, they all thought this Russian stuff was real. They were afraid to get behind him. Now that's gone. There's no reason not to get behind Trump unless you don't like his voters. And that is, I think, where the key to understanding this is.
You know, I'm curious. I saw the pictures over the weekend that you played golf with the president on Easter Sunday. And, you know, I think everybody would like to hear a little bit about what his mood was really like and what he wants to focus on now. And, you know, whether or not he's concerned
it was Friday.
About
it was the day after the Mueller report came out. And Lexi Thompson, who is she's just a sweet, she's an LPGA pro. And I thought when we showed up, there's no way I'm in Trump's cart, not with Lexi Thompson in the group, but I was in Trump's cart. Lexi had her own. The thing about everybody had a great time. There were 5 of us in the group, including Dana Quigley from the PGA Tour. For those of you who like Donald Trump and have never met him and would like to, I'm just going to tell you, he's everything that you would hope he would be. He makes everybody the focus of attention. Everybody has a great time. He is a tremendous host. He's funny. I mean, every hole he talks about that green's better than any green on any other golf course except his other courses. That lake, that's better than anything they got at Pebble Beach. Everybody knows it. He encourages you when you don't hit the ball well. He makes everybody just have a great time. And it features breakfast beforehand and lunch afterwards. And there's not a whole lot of policy
But Rush, did you
talk.
win? Did you win?
But no, well, I'll tell you, the first time I played with him, I was having a great front nine.
That was the hardest question so far.
And he took away my strokes on the back because I didn't deserve any. He said I was playing too. Did I misunderstand your question?
No, that's my question. I wanted to know if you won.
Oh, I was on his team. He picks whoever's playing the best and puts himself on their team. And he may change teams 2 or 3 times in a round. It's just fun, Martha. There's nothing. It's not like when you go out with the guys and you're playing and your teams against each other. It's a faux competition, but it's just fun. If somebody hits a bad shot, he tells them, drop another ball. We're out here having fun. There's no stress in it.
Everybody's having fun. Let me ask you one last question. That is, I'm curious if you felt, when you were with him, that any of this stuff is weighing on him. I know that Elijah Cummings wanting to dig into 8 years of financial records is something that some in the Trump camp are not happy about, and they're pushing back on hard. Did that come up at all?
He's, to me, around me, he is one of the most confident people. He talks about this stuff. I mean, but he does not at any moment express any concern, certainly no fear. He's reassuring to people. He knows who he is. He knows how people see him. He knows he's the president. He knows people are reluctant to speak. They're going to be respectful. And so he anticipates things that they're thinking or wondering about, and he will provide answers to things. But mostly it's he didn't at any time sit down and tell me what he thought of Mueller or what he thought of this or that. He doesn't. He can't tell who's going to leave there and speak and who isn't. But that wouldn't go along with the recipe for these things, which is fun. But he doesn't hide from any of this. I mean, he was telling, at lunch after the round, he was telling Lexi about the golden shower story and how ridiculous it is. And everybody was laughing about it. And the fact that the media believed it, the fact that people actually thought that Trump would have hired some prostitutes to urinate on a bed because Obama had slept in it. We're laughing ourselves silly over this as he tells the story. So it's a great time with him.
That was the one story that came up. Rush, thank you so much. Great to talk to you tonight, and thanks for spending so much time with us. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Martha.
You bet.